Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Apologize for the slowdown in content recently. I've been caught up with a lot of work during the last 6 months, but no worries, the channel is all well and we're back to making theories. As always, thanks for sticking around, it means the world to me. Star Wars, in my opinion, always thrived on its mysticism, especially in the planes where even the strongest Jedi knew little of. Jedi that were thousands of years old, and more current Jedi like Yoda learned different lessons, had different experiences, and were touched in different ways. Those old Jedi may know things about the Force that were lost along the passage of time, much like there are facets of the Force that they may have never stumbled upon to begin with. So what does this all mean? When we think about the Whills, the group that some allege it to be the equivalent of Celestials in Star Wars, vastly knowing and vastly powerful in infinite ways, we think about their transcendence amongst time and space throughout the Star Wars universe and its history. We're introduced to them in the Clone Wars, when Yoda is informed by Qui-Gon Jinn to go to the Whills to have more training. More specifically, the Clone Wars episode titled Destiny in the Lost series. Now before we continue any further, it's important to note that not many have had contact with the Whills, as it's implied in the episode. One of them happens to be Qui-Gon though, and Qui-Gon, we can speculate, learned from the Whills or is called upon by the Whills for the very specific reason of more training, to transcend the Force and become a Force ghost, so that Yoda could also learn how to transcend into the world beyond his bodily death in the future. During the 2-arc episode, Yoda is put through the test of temptation, seeing visions of opportunity to stop the Sith, but also seeing dismal futures. Upon completion of his training, it's assumed that now Yoda will train Luke Skywalker on how to come back after their death. So this long preface really leads me to today's topic, and it really leads me to believe one thing. After the Revenge of the Sith, the Jedi, fallen, defeated, and destroyed, face a test like never before. Not only is Yoda tasked with keeping the embers of the Jedi alive, but he's also tasked with passing on those teachings. In this theory, I speculate that Yoda knew very well of his demise, as he saw earlier through the Whills. Knowing well in advance of its impending fall, Yoda knew that in his death, with the clock ticking, that his best chance of forging a new order meant sending the next generation to the Whills, in this case, Luke Skywalker. In this, Yoda prepared by scouring the galaxy and preparing holocrons to teach the future of the Jedi in the event of his demise. We have to wonder, how does Yoda lead Luke to the Whills? Well, we can definitely draw some dots here, and I want to present to you Star Wars number 20, the 2020 comic run, and more specifically, the planet Gazian. In this issue, we learn that Gazian's a living planet, a virgins in the Force, very unique, much like Yoda refers to it as special, equating it to Jeddah and the temple on Coruscant, again, a virgins in the Force. In essence, we come to learn that Gazian is very much like a holocron, but more so a living planet with imprints of the Jedi, possibly the Sith, and who knows what other kinds of Force users. During the story, we come to learn that Yoda, training Luke, has dispatched Luke on a journey, scouring the galaxy for more knowledge on his quest to become a Jedi Master. In this comic issue, Luke falls into the spores on the planet. If we look closely, the biome is filled with heavy toxin. As Luke succumbs to the toxins, he's greeted by Elzar Mann, a Jedi Knight from the era of the High Republic that takes place 300 years or so before the events of the Skywalker saga. During the dialogue, Luke speaks with Elzar and learns about the High Republic, bits of the Old Republican Darth Bane, and other important lessons. What's so interesting about the exchange is that Elzar reveals to Luke that his mind has been imprinted on the planet, potentially cloned on the planet. And we even see that now there's a second Luke on the planet before Luke leaves. Elzar reveals that he's not actually dead, or so he thinks, that all who come across this planet have their minds again imprinted. Now during the issue, we don't actually see the Whills, but with all the anomalies taking place, and this being the only time we see something like this in Star Wars, or at least one of the few times, I did a little digging and I rewatched the episode Destiny where Yoda actually meets the Whills, or so we think. The one thing that jumped out at me during the issue and during the episode was the biome of the planet, flush with fauna. Another major comparison we can compare to Gazian. Also, we can compare Yoda and Luke's experiences in that they had premonitions of the Force. When Yoda saw the future and had a more direct dialogue with the Whills, Luke had a more inner dialogue with ancient Jedi and learned more about himself in the pursuit of training. At the conclusion of the issue, Luke eventually awakens from the toxins and manages to escape before being trapped a terrible death, as we see with the bodies of other Force users littering near the bottom of the fauna-ridden planet. And while there are so many questions and theories about Gazian I have to ponder, and that we all have to ponder, we're going to save those stories for another time. Guys, I'd love to know your thoughts on Luke's possible contact with the Whills and what this planet was. Was this also the same planet that Yoda visited in the Clone Wars? Could the wellspring of life also be planet Gazian? Definitely let me know all of your thoughts and theories in the comment section below. If you enjoyed pondering the mysteries of the Force with me today, please be sure to share, like, comment, and subscribe. And remember, the Force will be with you always.